What do you do when the people you're supposed to lead, whether it is your team at work or your children at home, simply stop listening? When the trust is broken, how do you earn it back? In this episode, I'm joined by US Marine officer and author Olaulu Ogunyemi, who breaks down how to rebuild connection, heal relationships, and lead with a balance of strength and grace that inspires others to follow. Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. This holiday season, skip the candles and gift cards. Give the woman in your life something that truly matters, or better yet, give it to yourself. The gift inside is for every woman who spent decades being everything to everyone else. It's time to remember who you are and rediscover your happiness. This isn't just a book, it's a permission to put yourself first again. Available now, because the best gift you can give is helping someone find themselves. Welcome, Olaulu Ogunyemi, US Marine officer, award-winning author, and founder of Parent-Child Connect. Through his books, writing, and speaking, he equips parents, educators, and leaders with practical strategies for connecting with next generation and leading with empathy, discipline, and purpose. Welcome, Olaulu. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Irina. I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this, so I'm ready to dive in.
Awesome. So please share with us, who are you outside of your bio? How would you, in your own words?
Absolutely. So like you already said, I'm a United States Marine, and I've been doing that since 2012 is when I commissioned as a United States Marine. I had a brief stint as a computer programmer analyst at Tyson Foods, which was a phenomenal company. I think it had some really good, really strong leaders at the time. Taught me a lot about leadership. I'm a father of 3 children. So I have, my oldest is 15 and she's in high school. I have a 11-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. I love them being a father. I love being a husband. My wife does a phenomenal job of being a partner with me and raising the children and helping to make them the best people they can be. And then aside from that, I learned how to write. I learned how to be an author. I learned how to be a speaker. And that's where my brand, Parent-Child Connect, came from. It was born from a place of wanting to connect with my children and teach others or give others opportunity to connect with theirs. So I started providing resources for parents, teachers, mentors, and caregivers, so the entire community, for them to connect with their children and lead them. So that way we can leave behind impactful leaders when we leave this earth. So that's all about me. I'm very excited to be here and to dive into our conversation.
Awesome. As a Marine officer, leader, and father, you had to balance discipline with empathy. How do you teach parents and leaders to find that balance when connecting with the next generation?
Great question. And the first thing I tell people to do is go watch Major Payne. I love that movie. If you don't know, long story short, it's a funny movie with one of the Wayans brothers, Damon Wayans. So that obviously tells you the kind of movie he is. He's a United States Marine who has to be forced out of the Marine Corps because he no longer had, as he said, there's not enough killing left because he killed them all. That's what he said in the movie. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. But the point of the movie is, here you have this combat hardened veteran. He's so hard. He's so tough. And then he gets his job after the Marine Corps, having to lead this ragtag group of young men at this old school. And it's funny to watch as he walks into this JROTC. He has his uniform on, he's squared away, and he's looking all good. And he's ready to raise these, I think he called them magnets, into well-disciplined men. So that was his goal. When he got there, he realized it's not as easy as he may have thought. And he had to learn that thing called empathy, like you mentioned. And that's my perception of who I am. No, I'm not like the real life Major Payne. In my mind, I like to think I'm tough like him, but probably not. But in reality, I learned that the leadership style that I may have learned early on in the Marine Corps, I thought was the right way. It's not the same way that you're going to be effective as a parent, and definitely not even as effective as a Marine. The way that we go in, where we're trying to be stoic and we're trying to be serious and just tell people what to do, That's great, and it has its place. But in reality, a majority of our job is getting to know people and leading them the way they need to be led. And that's really what I learned. That's what empathy was all about for me. It's getting to understand people and understand how they view this earth in context, and then finding a way to lead them to become better than they are or better than they were when I met them. And so that applies to both being a Marine officer, and I think it applies to leadership in general, which includes parenting. And so those are real things that I learned. But yeah, that's the tip I have for people. If you want to see how to lead, you could start off like Major Payne, but by the end of the movie, if you remember, he actually learns that empathy. I think he read the book called ABCs of Parenting or something like that, or ABCs of being a more influential male role model or something like that. But he did learn that empathy is important, and learning what these children need, these young men in his case needed, was more important than the way he envisioned leading them and developing them into what they need to be.
Totally. You're so right. So you cannot just be like the drill sergeant. You also gotta sympathize and meet people where they're at. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of resistance and pushback and nothing will get done.
Yeah. That's a positive too, because we teach, that's one thing we started teaching society is that, if you feel too much resistance or oppression, then you should push back, right? And that's the thing that we continue to tell people. And that's the only way for us to overcome things that we've overcome in history. But one of the things that you have to realize is that if you become that resistance and that oppression, I promise you they will eventually push back. And that means that you aren't being effective. That's actually something I learned early on. And I've heard people say this. They're like, well, I'll much rather be my Marine's enemy and to be that person that brings them together than to just be anything else. And I initially I was like, okay, yeah, if they have a shared enemy, then, then they all can come together over the shared misery and then they can grow. But what I realized is that that's not your role. Your role is not to be their enemy. Your role isn't to exert pressure upon them so much so that they build up resistance. Yes, you do want to have some form of pressure because, as you know, in working out and exercising, the more weight that you have, resistance actually helps you to build your muscle in long term. But if you have too much resistance, if I were to go pick up, 1,000 pounds today, it's going to crush me, right? I'm not going to have any resilience. I'm not going to have build any muscle. It's just going to crush me. That's just reality. So those are the things you have to think of as a leader. Your resistance and the things you're trying to do to pressure your people and make them better shouldn't cause them to break.
Very good point. Thank you. What inspired you to start Parent-Child Connect, and how has that mission evolved as you reached more families and educators?
Great question. So what started for me was I graduated college. I was 22. I was married and I had a 3-year-old, and I was completely lost. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know anything about parenting aside from what I've seen on TV and what I saw my parents do. But I was completely lost. So I knew that I needed something to connect with my child. And over time, my children, I have 3, I knew that I had to have something. And I reverted back to what my mom taught us, because my mom was a huge advocate. My mom and dad were advocates for reading, but my mom would sit down with us and she would just make it exciting for us. I remember story times with my mom. She'll sit down and smile and make it just such a big event for us, right? And so I was like, well, man, what if I created these same stories where parents can sit down and have these teachable and memorable experiences with their children, as well as add in, for my books, I add in discussion, continued discussion questions. So that way, even beyond what you're reading, if you just need some assistance in trying to figure out how you can steer the conversation, well, you have a few questions in the back that can help you steer the conversation and get some more out of your children. And so that's where it started. Where it's scaled today is I realized that it's more, parenting is a form of leadership. And so it's more than just trying to provide resources for parents so they can raise children, and even more so about that as leaders, we always have a way to influence others. And so my website, my platform has become an opportunity to share those resources and share little helpful tips that I've learned over the way. And I've learned from people and research and all those kind of things that I've learned. That can help you become a better leader and to refine the leadership style that you have and really get to know the people you're leading and lead them well. So that's really what Parent-Child Connect has done. It started just from a personal place. It started from a place of me seeing some of my buddies who didn't make it out of our hometown because they ended up in a penitentiary. And that was one of the things that I hold near and dear to my heart. My hope is that with Parent-Child Connect, I'm able to reach people like them, the younger versions of them, who now see a positive example. They see that you can do it. And more importantly, I reach the parents, teachers, mentors, caregivers, coaches, and so on and so forth, and remind them that those children need you. There's a child out there who doesn't have a happy home. There's a child out there who just needs your support. And if you can, if nothing else, just walk up to them and tell them, hey, I love you, man. I think you're doing phenomenal. You're an awesome person. And so that's what Parent Child Connect is there to remind us adults that we have a role to play in others' lives.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for creating such a powerful place.
Thank you.
You've written award-winning books that helps parents and kids build stronger relationships. What the most powerful lessons or stories, you can pick one, from your writing that continues to impact you personally?
Yes, thank you. So Crow from the Shadow, by far is my favorite book. It's a rhyming book, which I know that wasn't necessarily what traditional publishers wanted. And I'm glad I self-published it because it gave me some flexibility in how I could present it. But my favorite part about it is I wrote about a crow. And now when I use the crow as the main character in the story, most people think like, what in the world? Is this a Halloween book or what are you trying to portray in this book? But I did that intentionally because number one, quite frankly, there was a crow that seemed like it was right by my window when I was ready to write. And I think that character just stuck out of my mind. But when I thought more about it, I realized that the crow is probably one of the most misunderstood animals that are out there. We see them everywhere. Everywhere in the world I've been, I've seen crows. I've seen different types of crows, and they all are doing something very similar. They're all looking for something to eat. Now, whether that is in your trash or not, they're looking for something to eat. And that's why we view crows as nasty and annoying and so on and so forth. But then I realized that the crows are really just like us. We're all trying to survive. We're all trying to do things to grow ourselves. And not all of us are like the shining star. We aren't Superman. We all aren't Wonder Woman. We all aren't out there doing all these phenomenal things. I mean, in fact, that's just very few of us. Most of us have the same role as the crow. We wake up in the morning, we go out to do things to survive, and then we go to sleep at night. That's what we do. And so the story of Crow from the Shadow is that no matter where you're from or who you are, no matter what your name is, or no matter what the shadow is for you, you can be whatever you want to be. You control your fate. And that's the message not only for children. I've had teachers and parents come back and tell me, they're like, yeah, I read that book so I can read it to my children, but I found myself in that message. And I thought that was amazing. I thought that was so impactful for me. And that's why I love Crow from the Shadow, because every time I see a crow, and I encourage all the listeners to this now, every time you see a crow, just remember, I control my own destiny. There's something I can do. I can't control what's going on in the world. The world is always something. It seems like it's always something on fire. There's always problems in the world. But what I can control is my attitude, my reaction to it. And so when I see a crow, that's one recognition or one reminder that says that, I can control myself. I can control my destiny, and I can control my future. And those are things that just gives us hope again. So that's why I love Crow from the Shadow. It's a book that has a constant reminder all around us that we have control of ourselves. So just remember, no matter what, you see a crow, even if it's taking out your trash and you're going to have to go clean it up, just remember that you control your own future and you control your reaction to what's going on around you.
Yeah, you're so right. We can never control what happens, but we can control how we react to what happens, and our thoughts, our attitudes, our emotions and expressions, we get to decide the outcome. So I love it. Thank you. So many parents struggle with feeling not enough or disconnected from their children. What one strategy you can share to help them rebuild trust and connection at home?
Yes. So this is all age dependent. So first of all, as you said, so many parents. So I want you, if you're hearing this or seeing this, and this is your world, and you're saying, okay, that's me, just know that you're not alone. That's the first thing. I learned in my personal experience how disarming it is when we share experiences instead of thinking, man, I feel disconnected from my child. And I feel like I should love them more. I feel like I should be for them more, or whatever it is. And at times we sort of isolate ourselves because we feel like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling that. I'm a terrible parent. Well, let me tell you something. I believe that a lot of us, if not all of us, have that same feeling at some point of our lives, because we're constantly trying to make things happen. We're constantly working hard. We just feel disconnected. So the first thing I have to say is that it's a shared experience. You're not alone. And so don't isolate yourself as a parent, because you need the community around you. So first thing is community. Never, ever think that you're alone. Never, ever think that because you feel disconnected, it's the end all be all. And that's your fate. You'll always be disconnected. The second thing, I will say age-based. So really for your younger age group, if you want to reconnect with them, I'm always going to advocate for books. Sit down with them and enjoy a book or movie. If you all have favorite movies that you can watch together, sit down and connect over that. Hear what they're saying. Just for a second, as a parent, as an adult, I know we have more knowledge and wisdom because we've been here longer. We're more educated and so on and so forth. But take a second to delay judgment and hear what they have to say. Hear how they're understanding the movie and then reach them on their level. So that's one of the things I say. Sit down with a book, a movie, whatever it is. Hopefully something that really engages the mind, not a conversation with them. For your older group, your teenagers, this is going to be a tough one. Because if you didn't establish, and it's okay if you didn't, but if you didn't establish that open communication early on, then it's going to be tough. You can't just walk into their room and just say, all right, now tell me everything about yourself and think they're going to open up. It's not going to happen. But I do encourage you to find some things that you can connect on, whether it be teaching them how to drive, or maybe you go out and you enjoy their sports and you're able to speak their language. Figure out what interests them and then start talking to them about that. That's how you have to, again, it's all about ice breaking. And I look at this the same way we look at adult relationships. And so I'm sure some of you may be like, well, I'm not good at that either. But really with an adult relationship, none of us go out to the first date, for example, and just spill out everything about ourselves and just talk about ourselves all the time. And then get to the end of the night and your date's like, okay, well, I guess you don't care about me. We know that that's not right. Do it in most cases. So with our children, though, we tend to flip that. We tend to say, well, I have so much knowledge that they need, and so I'm going to just dump all my knowledge on them. Well, okay, well, that causes them to shut down, and they're now disconnecting from you, which in turn causes you to feel like that they're pulling away from you, and it's something either wrong with you or wrong with them. And in either case, that's not necessarily healthy. And so again, my recommendation is to find things that they enjoy, connect with them with those things, and then move on. So that way you guys can start your healing that connection if it's broken. And then the last group I'll talk to is those who maybe you had this big event, something traumatic happened. And unfortunately that happens in relationships, and including parent and child relationships. And with that, I 100% advocate for bringing in your therapist. If you can get both you and your child to therapy, I highly recommend it. Because there's things that you're going to have to work through that a lot of us, most of us, unless we have our degree in that and that's our specialty. And even then it's still sort of tough because it's now your child. A lot of us aren't equipped to deal with these kind of situations. So my recommendation is to go to your therapist with your child and work through those things. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a long road. But I still recommend it because it's worth it.
Thank you. Yeah, you made very good points. For different age groups, there are different strategies that could work, and I love your example of like when you go on the first date, you don't spill out everything. So same with teenagers, kind of get onto that page and get them comfortable so they feel easy enough to share. They don't feel closed off, so that you can create that better connection. Thank you. You've worn many hats: Marine officer, author, father, mentor. Can you share a wake-up moment in your journey that reshaped how you lead and connect with others?
That's a great question. So the wake-up moment for me, I've had a couple. I would say the first happened when I was young. And the first thing that I learned, because one of the things I did is I used to act out. I always was one of those guys who was trying to fit in because I didn't feel like I fit in with the crowd. And I started doing things that it wasn't who I was. And one guy even told me, he's like, never, ever allow someone to pull you out of your character. And when he said allow is the key word again, because we control our own destiny. So I was doing things to try to fit in because I was insecure. So the first thing I learned is, number one, insecurities rear its ugly head in many ways. And if we don't take care of our insecurities or pay attention to those, then they're going to overtake our lives. And you're going to find yourself doing things you thought you'd never do. You'll find yourself trying to figure your way through life in certain ways that I just don't think is healthy. So that was I would say the first wake up call I had, is that I have insecurities even that from childhood that I never dealt with, that I had to learn to grow through. And again, that was just a perfect moment for me to walk through with my counselor. The second wake-up call was that everybody's different. And I know it sounds like a cliche thing. We have this, now we talk about diversity and it means so many different things. And it's a very interesting time to be alive because that word is almost inflammatory in certain circles. But I even learned that everybody's different. And once I realized that, I realized everybody's different. The more important part about that is everybody is inspired in a different way. And that was a wake up call for me because in my early days as a Marine, again, I had this mentality or this mindset of what is required for a Marine. So I'll give an example. When I was an operations officer, I've heard that the operations officer is supposed to be the stickler. You keep everything on point. It's just like the COO in a corporation. You are responsible for the operations of that company or organization. And so that requires you at times to be very direct. And so I was very direct, and I would go at people at times and I would just make sure things happen, and things were happening. Here's the problem though. Things were happening because people didn't want to be nagged by me, not because they respected me. They just didn't want to be nagged. Right. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm getting results. This is important. Until one of my mentors, he pulled me in. He said, would you talk to one of your sisters like that? I said, absolutely not. They are Marines. And he's like, so why would you go talk to that Marine like that? And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting way. And so he taught me to think through how we're leading people and more importantly, the reputation that we'll have that's going to precede us, because our name is going to travel to way more places than we'll ever make it. And so he started telling me that my reputation is more important than just getting the job done today. And that was a wake up call for me because yes, again, it was effective, quote unquote. It was effective. And yes, we were getting it done, but why they were doing it, it just wasn't working. And more importantly, they weren't even doing things in my absence, which means I was ensuring a concurrent way of talking about discipline, which means they were just feeling my pressure and just doing it because I said do it. And I was not helping them grow their self-discipline, which is doing the right thing even when no one's around. So these are the kind of things that I learned. I think those are my two biggest wake-up calls: understanding how my insecurities influence me today and understanding that people are different and you require different leadership styles, and a one size fits all approach will never work.
Totally. You're so right. With trying to fit in, I think we all go through that stage when we are teenagers. We're trying to find a way in the world and what world is all about. And we always want to feel like we belong. Unintentionally, maybe sometimes put on masks or try to fit personas because we want to please others, because we want to be included, we don't want to be alone. But meanwhile, we still have our own identity. It takes a while to get there and understand. And your second wake-up call, that understanding that everybody is different, I think it's powerful. And yeah, we all can be motivated for different reasons. And it just teaches us how to evolve and get better as we progress in our living experience.
Yeah, it's funny because the way that you just explained that lets me know that it was the same issue, right? That I was trying to fit in as an adult. And again, that's why we have to look back at our childhood and understand the root cause of something. As an adult, as an operations officer, I'm doing that because I was told that was the right way. I was told that was the culture, until I had somebody who had a countercultural perspective tell me that is not your way and that's not how you should be leading. No matter what you think the culture is, you should be finding your own way. So really, as teenagers and as adults, as you just alluded to, we have the propensity to go out and try to fit in, and we do things and put these masks on, pretending to be people we're not. And that could be the ultimate fail. I love the way that you put that, because it reminded me that how easy it is for our insecurities, or really that first wake up call, as I called it, really is almost about the same as the second wake-up call. It's the same concept. It's the same thing of not understanding what I need to do, how I can be myself and find my own identity. So thank you for that.
Thank you. On my podcast, we explore physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. How has your military background shaped your perspective on resilience across these dimensions?
Great question. So the first thing I would say is the military helped me to create a system around my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And what I mean by that is I wake up first thing in the morning, and all four of those things gets for me, it's no less than 30 minutes. But what I recommend is no less than 10 minutes worth of investing in those four key areas every single day. And that's what the military taught us. They taught us to accomplish a mission, you have to be willing to employ a system that allows you to repeat the same thing over and over. It's called a repeatable process or habit. And so that's the thing that I've always heard. And really, by doing these things over and over and creating a habit out of doing it, it's no different from the financial industry. where you have compound interest. So every day, because I'm improving upon my physical health or my mental, emotional, spiritual health, every single day I'm getting a little bit stronger than I was the day before. And before long, especially if you're recording it, which I highly recommend, record it in a journal. All four of those, make sure you're capturing those so that way you know your goals and you can tell yourself when you're achieving your goals. So when you look back at your journal from, let's say 2020, when we were trying to figure out different ways to remain active in those four key areas, and you say, man, even then I was doing X, Y, and Z, and look how far I've progressed. And that's why it's important to capture these moments. So I would say, again, first thing is establishing a system and then recording that system in real time. Those are two things that we talk about in the military. And that's something that I highly recommend that people adopt into their lifestyle.
Really, I love it. And it's also could be like your own historical document of where
That's
you've
right.
been and where you ended up. What is your one non-negotiable in your day-to-day?
But you already hit it. My non-negotiable is I will get up and I will improve my physical, mental, spiritual, emotional well-being every single morning. That's a non-negotiable. So every day I wake up at 4 a.m. And I know that's crazy for some, but I also go to bed early. I go to bed at 9, just in case people are wondering. But every day I wake up at 4 a.m. and I dedicate time to those four key areas. That's a non-negotiable. My family, God bless them, but they know it too. Even my puppy, he wakes up and if he needs to go out early, I'm like, all right, well, you're out, go outside and I'll get to you when I get to you, buddy. Because it's a non-negotiable. I'm going to dedicate that time. But why I do it is because I know that I have to give that time to myself and build myself up so I can be prepared to pour into somebody else. Because some people never do that. And the unfortunate thing is they don't have the opportunity to fill themselves up before they go out and pour into somebody else, which is why every time you hear from some people, they seem distraught or they seem upset or sad. It's because they don't have the opportunity or they're not making the opportunity to fill themselves up. So those are my non-negotiable. That's my non-negotiable. I'm going to wake up every single day and dedicate time to myself. And that's one of the boundaries I've set in my life for my family and my friends. They know that time is dedicated to me and me alone. So that way I can be better for you later on.
Totally. I love that. And I do that as well. I don't wake up at 4, I wake up at 5. Yeah, I love going on a walk and listening to something good. Flood your senses with positivity. And I love watching sunrises, see how the sky changes colors, and then a day is not finished until I do some singing. I do like 10-15 minutes to fill myself up so that I can come here and record the podcast, feel all good, and so that I can show up better for others. So I love your non-negotiable. What is your superpower if you had to pick one?
My superpower would be making others smile. I love seeing people smile because of what's going on in the world. Because of how you never know what's going on in people's lives. I love going out and just like trying to make somebody smile, trying to have a conversation with people, especially if I notice they're in a position, for example, when you're coming on and off a military base, there's people who their job is to check your ID and they look over your vehicle. So it's very transactional. By the time you roll your window down, the only transaction I have is he's going to scan my ID. He's going to look at me and tell me, yes, I can go, or no, I need to go to the side. Very transactional. So I try to look at opportunities like that as a perfect way for me to look at them and say, hey, good morning. How you doing, man? How was your day today? And things of that nature. And you'd be surprised how their reaction, because sometimes they're like, all right, come on. They just sort of have this stone face. But the second you say good morning, they brighten up. They're like, huh. And I just imagine being in that position, that one person that comes and says, good morning. How are you doing? Yeah, it's a great day. I love the way you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not trying to butter him up because if my ID doesn't scan, he's going to turn me around regardless. But I love the idea of him being able, or him or her, knowing that somebody recognized me. Somebody thought took a small part of their day and just said good morning and asked how I was doing. And if, God forbid, if you tell me, oh, I wish things are better. Well, I hope you have time because I'm going to pull over and ask you, hey, what's going on, man? You want to talk about it? At least let you know that I care about you and I care more than just this transactional thing that we're doing. Truly care about you as a human being. The plus is if you know their name, especially let's say if you're going to a service industry or you call somebody, something that I would say as one of my superpowers is I started practicing and learning how to remember their name. So by the time I get to the end of the call, it's like, well, thank you so much. I love what you did there, John or Sarah or whatever the name is, and you'll be surprised how many people pause right at the end of that. They're like, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. You have a great day as well. And you never know because again, it's a world where a lot of people are always getting pushed down. So I try to do my part to brighten people's day.
Awesome. I love that. That's a beautiful trait to have and amazing superpower. Thank you. Was there any book that inspired your journey that you can recommend?
Yes. So I would say the book, one of the best books I've read is called Atomic Habits. A huge fan of that book. You can hear it come out in my daily habits. But that is a phenomenal book. And then the bonus book I would say for parents is called Hold On to Your Kids by Dr. Gabor Mate and by Dr. Gordon Neufeld. Highly recommended reading those books because they did change the direction. They changed the way I led and they changed the way I managed my personal life.
Thank you. Thank you. For listeners who may feel stuck or disconnected right now, what's one simple step they can take today to begin rebuilding connection with themselves, their community, their children?
So reach out. That's the first thing. Reach out to somebody and talk about it. A lot of times if you're feeling stuck, you never know who's in your immediate circle. And if not in your immediate circle, that's the beauty of having social media. Reach out to people and tell them, hey, I feel stuck. What do you recommend? And sometimes people may reject you. They may sort of ignore you and things of that nature. That's fine. Find somebody else. I mean, at the end of the day, there's plenty of people. I promise you that if you send me an email, when I get to it, I will respond to it and tell you, hey, tell me about it. And I'll give you some encouragement. So my thing is, reach out. I want you to make sure that you're not trying to work this life alone because we're not built to walk alone. We're built to walk as a team and learn and grow as a team. So that's the first thing I would say. And then the second thing is to write. Once you get past the point to where you actually can, feel like your head is above water, again, go back to what you were talking about. Create your own historical document. Make sure that you're able to now share that moment with yourself. So that way you're growing through it. Write down your feelings, write down your emotions. And that way you can capture everything that you're feeling. And then later you can start growing through that. So those are two things I recommend. Number one, reach out, find somebody who can help you through it. And number two, start writing again, start journaling and make sure that you know that at least what's going on for yourself. And that way you can get the help you need.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, writing can be powerful.
Absolutely.
Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
No, I definitely appreciate this opportunity because these are things that this topic that you have is extremely important because a lot of people are going through a lot of things right now. Again, as I look at the news every day, it's almost sad to look at the news and you want to look at it to stay informed. But it's almost sad in today's society, today's world, because no matter what news you're reading, there's always some bias to it. And the second part is the traumatic events that are happening in the world are just that, they're traumatic. And so my encouragement to everybody is to continue to listen to podcasts like this. This is your shameless plug for you. Continue to listen to podcasts like this because it is phenomenal. These are the ways that you truly can walk through life and learn and grow as a human being. And then invest in books, invest time in reading and learning and writing. There's many authors on there, again, too, on this call. There's many authors out there who are writing for you specifically. And that's why I encourage those who are writers or authors out there, never, ever pass up an opportunity to create, never pass up an opportunity to share your wisdom with the world because you never know. There's always at least one person that you can reach that none of us can reach. So continue to pursue your greatness. Thank you for this opportunity. And for those who want to connect with me, you can connect at www.parent-child-connect.com. You'll see my blog. You'll see books there. You'll see everything that ways to contact me. You'll see everything that I'm all about. So again, that's parent-child-connect.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining, Olaolu. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you for the work that you're doing and good luck.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you as well.